Welcome, everybody, to Tropics Talk, 8 o'clock, Friday night, October 9th, 2023. Very excited to see everybody in here. I already see the chat is coming alive, which is nice. That's more than I can say for myself. I don't know if you guys can see, but I look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't know what happened last night into today, but I've been blowing my nose and sneezing like crazy. I don't know if it's the weather change, unfortunately. I may have jinxed myself, or I don't know, but it goes without saying. I'm feeling kind of foggy up here. But we're gonna get this going. We're gonna have some fun. Carmen, I see you're in the chat. Hydration ready to rock. It's good to see everybody. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend, even though I just spoke to you yesterday evening. It's not like I've been gone very long. We'll give it a couple moments for people to tune in, and then we'll start talking some tropics, because as my video today mentioned, I changed the title a few times because I'm noticing that my views are going down. I'm not too sure why. I don't want to sound clickbaity, but I also want to make sure that it grabs the attention of people, because I think this is really good to talk about. You know, it's pretty cool what's going on out there. We have a lot of activity that I think is going to pop up one way, shape, or form. And this, I'll admit, this right here, seeing this highlighted AL93 on National Hurricane Center's page, that's very satisfying. Very satisfying. I didn't say very much in my video today, but I mean, you know, it's not going to be a whole lot. We already got some spin to it, so that's pretty neat. You can see it right there, a little low-level circulation, as a matter of fact. It's been trying to get its act together. So, we did it. We hit the nail on the head. We got it. This was a 2-week out kind of thing. We were talking about Bay of Campeche, a little low-pressure center forming up, and there you go. Let's go to the visible shortwave IR and see it. Yeah, there she blows. You can see a little bit of a low-level circulation. Let me make sure I have my Epic pen on so I can draw in there, but there. Oh, look, it looks like I already drew in there earlier. But yeah, this, I'll admit, when I saw this morning, highlighted by National Hurricane Center, it definitely hit me, and I'm like, ooh, look at that. There it is. So that was cool. That was very cool. I'm not going to sound all proud and whatever, but, you know, I mean, it's out there, and it's going to do its thing. Let's go ahead and say hello. Let's go and say hello to everybody in the chat. I see all the messages coming in. I'm back. I had to do a little math homework. Ethan's life. I feel that. Definitely feel that. Carmen, hit the like button. Yes, please. Definitely hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. We're getting closer to 4,000 subscribers. We're almost there. It seemed like after Lee and Idalia, when that was like trending major news, the traffic to my channel kind of went down, so we've been at a grind now, but we're almost there. I think we're almost 50 subs away from 4,000, so we're going to hit another milestone very soon. My goal is 5,000, though. Like, we hit 1, 2, 3, you know, at a decent click. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers, hopefully before the Christmas, New Year holiday. And I think that's pretty solid, you know, being in the game since middle of August and ringing 2024 with 5,000 plus subscribers. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Zenful, hola, good to see you. Sharon, hello. Fum Chum, do I take creatine? Not anymore. I used to take creatine. I usually use creatine when I'm in a cut or I'm trying to lean down. Right now, I'm more or less just maintaining and trying to watch my diet and lift weights while I can, because the sleep schedule's all out of whack right now. Miss Leah, hi there. Miss Leah, as a matter of fact, I didn't know how to reach out to you privately, but I saw earlier today that you had blasted my name out on Mike's weather page, and that was a nice feeling. That made me feel humbly good. Thank you for that. And I wanted to say, you know, something offline without messing around with their chat, because I noticed they deleted your comment like instantly. As soon as you'd mentioned that we were talking about it on my channel, they were like, delete, erase, moderate. Which I thought was a little silly. Sometimes they moderate a little intensively over there. I love the chats. I love, you know, going over to the page, but I know that there are a few times where I'll pop in there and they'll call it self-promotion, and I don't see it that way. Any chance of a hurricane developing in the Gulf? With this here, Danielle, is that what you're talking about? Thomas, oh God. Hi, everybody. How close are we? Hello, Nazario. Hello, how close are we? How'd the gym go this morning? Good Lord, Griffin, let me tell you, I did not want to go to the gym. I ended up finally falling asleep around 1:30 last night, and then my alarm woke me up at 4, and I think that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling right now. Redbird, ask questions. Yes, Redbird, I absolutely agree. Everybody, ask as many questions as you want. I'm happy to help out. Linda, hello there. Doff Boy, good evening. Good to see you again as well. I saw you in Mike's weather page as well. I didn't want to seem like I was ignoring you. I just know that we don't want to get into the moderation trouble with them. I like maintaining the peace as much as we can. Dark Earth, hello, welcome in. Jonathan, I finally made it. Amanda is in the house. Very good to see you guys. Diva, good to see you. Ethan's Life with another $2 donation. Dude, you're killing me with that. I mean, that feels great. As a matter of fact, there's one big thing I want to get that my Instagram has been promoting on my feed. You know how you get those recommended ads? There's something I want to put right over here in the background that says Weather Center. It's a big neon sign. And to tell you the truth, depending on how much revenue I get from these new videos, I might just splurge and add that right over my shoulder, because I think that'd be a pretty sick touch to, you know, the video content. Clicking on at the start of a video, clicking on Weather Center, and we're live. You know what I mean? Carmen Poole, good man, of course, yeah. Hey, how's it going tonight? Let's go Tropics Talk. Mike, welcome in. Alex Baller, welcome. Ramesh, welcome. Danielle, by any chance, will a hurricane develop in the Gulf? I think I read that one already. Danielle, maybe a tropical storm. If you're talking about this one, if we could get a little more specific, if we're talking this, then I don't think so. I mean, it does look okay. It's not the most disorganized thing in the world, surprisingly. Good evening, Nazar. Number one, my favorite overseas weather guy. Thomas, I appreciate you. You'll have way more than 5,000. Redbird, I hope, Lord willing. Alex Baller, how are you? I'm doing okay. A little rundown today, that's for sure. Could this become a SS? What do you mean an SS? Not too. I'm not picking up the acronyms. My brain is running slow on like 3.5, maybe 3 hours of sleep. Yes, Alex Baller, we're going to get into that. I just want to make sure everyone talks, or everyone says hello. I knew that was going to happen, Alex Baller. I knew it was going to happen. I was honestly more impressed that it took a little bit longer for the GFS to finally do its, dumb shenanigans. It's been like that all season, and for us to get the 12, 18, and 0 back-to-back, that was pretty cool. 6 and 12Z, it does try to spin something up. You got to look closely. It tries to spin something up, but it has it crashing into the Yucatan Peninsula, which if you guys remember yesterday, I had mentioned that, when the GFS likes to spin something up that far out, it tends to do some very weird things with it. Mike said your name on live stream, though, and yes, the live chat is so moderate, I got muted for caps. You got muted on there? He did, actually. I remember that. It was pretty cool. Finally got a little collaboration in there, which was pretty awesome. That would be, yeah, I know. I don't watch Mike anymore. She's kind of mean to, has those models change. So, let's go ahead and get into that. First of all, let's take a look at our computer models for this invest area, because we have it out there. We've been talking about it, and now it's there. We can finally start really dissecting it. And look at the intensity guidance, poor thing. It's going to stay fairly weak. But don't let this fool you. Do not let this fool you, because there's definitely still going to be impacts with it. And it's very funny. It's very funny that first, during the last couple of weeks, people were coming on my channel when I first started talking about this, saying the classic H word, you're hyping. And now that it's there, people still want to ignore it. They're like, yeah, it's highlighted, but nothing's happening. It's like, come on, guys. Like, just embrace it. Embrace it. This was a more or less, a modest forecast that you could have pulled out. We had great consistency, and because of the dynamics, we've been talking about it for the last not couple of weeks, but the last few days now, it's looking a little more El Nino-like because of where the subtropical jet is. It's just not going to survive out there. And see, if you guys look closely, the GFS is still highlighting something. There's still a little something out there. Don't let it fool you. It's just doing the GFS-isms, because you see that right there? Between hours, we'll say hours 210 all the way through 270. There's still something out there. The GFS is still highlighting something. It's just, that's a classic GFS-ism. And today, it was honestly a little more interesting to see what a lot of our models were picking up on, because the GFS has it right here too, that guy. So it's almost as if we could have multiple features to monitor as we go through the second half of October. October could get a little spicy, and I'm not talking about Taco Bell spicy. I'm talking like real spicy. Yeah, there goes 12Z yesterday. I still had that pulled up. Now, what's interesting too is I have Korean model, the 12Z Korean model, and the 12Z CMC, and it's almost like we did a switcheroo. We had the GFS being the only one with some indications on other model platforms. And now that some of our other model platforms can see far enough into the future, they're calling it, and the GFS isn't. It's like we just did like a dipsy-doo-dah, and we took something and went like, whoop, we're going to put it over here now. Magic trick. Let's see, what do we got? Mono chains looks like a wet week in the Gulf Coast. Yes. It looks like we're finally going to get some good old rain up there, too, especially with where the Canadian and the Korean model, I think the Euro as well, wants to track it much closer to the New Orleans, Biloxi area, at least in terms of where the center is. So we're finally going to get some much-needed rain. It's just going to be a little difficult to determine if it's going to be too much at once. We'll go back to... We'll go back to the Korean model here in a second. I just wanted to highlight to you guys what the total precipitation accumulation looks like, because you look at that, and that's why I've been saying, we can't discount what this thing's going to do. It's still going to be a potent system. All in through here, these colors right there are going to easily be anywhere between 3 to almost just underneath 5 inches of rain, with some localized areas even heavier than that. And it looks like, thankfully, I think we're going to see a little more rain than that, closer to New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, but the model wants to keep a narrow channel moving through there on the Euro. But I think, personally, that's just my opinion, I think we'll see a little bit more out of it, especially when you look at what we have in terms of the model's depiction of it. You see that? There's going to be some shower activity rolling in across the Gulf Coast and then into western Florida finally, which is where we need it. And then we get another punch of the tropical energy from when Lydia crosses over. So if you don't get rain with this first one, you're going to get rain with the second one, and that's good news. Like I said, we just got to be careful we don't get too much in one shot, because there is going to be some potent thunderstorms with this. But all right, guys, let's talk Caribbean, because that's what I'm focusing on. Once again, that's kind of how I roll with things, like a lot of people, and I'm not throwing shade again. I know that some people, they think it's me throwing negative comments or attacking. I'm not doing that, I promise, I swear. I don't have the energy to do that right now. The way I like to roll with things is when I, quote, verify a forecast, I immediately go back to looking mid to long range. Because when it's there, it turns into nowcast. And in the military, nowcast criteria is what's currently happening and up to 8 hours out. And that's why I tend to do more longer-term stuff as opposed to what's actually happening. Because then, anybody can go in there and, say, oh, yeah, look at the satellite and the radar. It's coming in. At that point, it's not as much of a forecasting game. It's more of a waiting game, just watching it. And anybody can do that. I'm not trying to say that it takes skill to predict. Okay, I'm tying myself in a knot here, but you know what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of why I like to fixate on something long range and tether it down and finally see it come to fruition or bust, and then I'll move on. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this. Like, we already know it's there. We've had very good run-to-run consistency. National Hurricane Center has it bullseyed, so we're in the clear. We got it. It's out there. Job well done for us. I give it a round of applause. Everybody in there who was backing me up, everyone who was looking at this alongside me, we did good. Like, it's there. We definitely called it. And we can take that and put it under our belt. My birthday is tomorrow. Can I use some of your videos on the big screen behind the DJ? Jonathan, I would be more than honored for you to do that if my only request is if you send me some footage of you putting that on for me, because I definitely want to see that. I'm not asking for, if people want to subscribe and share it around, absolutely, but I just want to see. Like, that'd be dope, man. I feel very privileged for you to say that. I really do. That means so much. You guys are awesome. Like, it's very cliche, but dang, like, that's amazing. That I can't help but smile. I just lost the chat again. Where are we? Let's see. So invest 93L. What's the point? Not even an invest. There's some spinach on it. We knew it wasn't going to be anything major. It's still where I lost my satellite. Here we go. It's got a little something going, but unfortunately the upper portion of it is already running into the subtropical jet. Like, that's what's going to help shear it apart. This is going to definitely be a lot more of what El Nino is going to look like as we go into the winter time. So, but we called it. It's down there. I'm not letting anyone take that away from me. We knew that there was going to be an area of disturbed weather. We went back and forth about whether or not it was going to be tropical, but we knew it was going to head this way. We kept mentioning Friday the 13th weekend, and now here it is. So, I'm going to say we won the battle. We dug our heels in and we stayed the course. Hello, Nazaria. Hope you get some rest tonight. Judy, thank you very much. I'm going to go knock out as soon as I get done with this. I know that there's a lot of anticipation of what's happening out there in the tropics, especially in the Caribbean. I'm anxious to see what happens, but at the same time, it's so far out that any big update, we're going to be on top of it. There's going to be time to see it, digest it, and interpolate it. But all right, let me go back to the chat real quick. I'm glad Mike agreed with one of your comments. Yeah, that was pretty nice. I definitely do want to do a collaboration with him one day. There's been a few other people on here who've mentioned that we should try to join up and do some kind of a video or just some kind of a shared post or any kind of collaboration. I think that'd be awesome. I love that. And I'd love to do that with a lot of people too. It's not all about just my channel and my viewers. You know, we got to bring everyone together. So if anybody out there watching this, you know, Brian Shields, Mike's Weather Page, Ryan Hall, if I were to ever get up to that level of accolades and exposure, anybody out there who would want to do a collaboration and just share weather wisdom for you guys, oh, I'd have so much fun doing that. And it's just how you continue to get second opinions and continue to grow. Subtropical. Oh, okay. I'm not used to seeing it highlighted as SS. You know, I mean, it could. It definitely could, because that is tropical energy that's blooming up out there. Don't let it fool you. That's still going to be all tropical energy. It's just once it starts mixing with our cool air that's across the southeast and the Gulf Coast in that jet, it's gonna modify. And basically what modification is, guys, it's you have source region from where it develops, where it kind of manifests itself, and then as it moves into a different environment, it changes with the environment. That's what I mean when I say modify. Isaac, yes, I'm so glad you're putting it in the chat, because, dude, I was thinking about you earlier. I was trying to see if you left a hard comment on one of my videos so I could ask, like, what's happening? Also, update on the armed suspect. The police has not found the person who's identified as, of course, it had to be a David. It had to be a David, but apparently he was fleeing from an aggravated assault case and fled on foot. So do we get to sound the alarm tonight? Models do show. You know, let's go ahead and hold off. Let's hold off. Let's not blow stuff up. Let's not blow it up just yet, but we'll go ahead and look at some models. So this is Canadian. We're all very familiar with the Canadian model. There goes our big old entity moving across, and, you know, it's pretty on point with what that's going to do. And then here comes our main frontal system. There goes that Hatteras Low. It's looking a little bit more like a Hatteras Low now, forming off the Carolina coast. And yeah, 12Z Canadian model definitely has it right there, forming up and headed right towards Florida. And as I mentioned earlier this morning and in my video today, I actually do agree with this depiction. I think GFS was a little intense. I think GFS was definitely a little bit more off the chain, like it always is, going from 0 to Cat 7 within the span of a couple minutes. Can we get a major hurricane? I'm going to say it again like I did in my video today. Could we get a major hurricane out there? 100%. History has told us that it's very well possible. It's far from impossible. With everything that's in play, though, the shear and the El Nino setup, do I see something weaker right now? Yeah, if anything does get going, I could see more tropical storm, maybe low-end kind of feature as opposed to anything extravagant right now. And we'll come over to the KMA, because the KMA model is the only other one that goes out far enough to really pick up on it. And this has also been trending. So KMA's been doing pretty good in terms of its trend. We'll start with 0Z first so you guys can get a look at that. So you go through the run, there goes our main frontal system, and then take a look off the Yucatan Peninsula, and this is 0Z. There it goes. And it's cool that the Korean model is actually exploring one of the solutions that I'd mentioned to you guys yesterday. If you were in the chat and you were listening to when I was digesting where this could go, because we had a few of you guys asking, I'd mentioned that it's only going to have one direction to go, either this way up towards Cuba, the Bahamas, or up towards Florida. So it's pretty neat that the Korean model is actually exploring, you know, very dense high pressure up and through here. So there's only one direction it could go, and it's up over towards the Cayman Islands, Cuba, Bahamas. So that's interesting. But needless to say, it's there. It forms up at about the 180-hour mark. There it goes. Moves off to the north-northeast into the Bahamas as, you know, a pretty potent system. There's an eye wall right there indicated of between 46 and 50 knots of wind, so solid tropical storm. And then you go to 12Z, and there it is again. This time it's lining up really well with what the Canadian model's showing. A little bit of a weaker system, more disorganized, moving straight into western Cuba, headed towards the west coast of Florida. So, you know, it's not like it's disappeared altogether. It's not like it's gone altogether. And what's interesting now is we have other ensembles picking up on it as well. And I'm also curious to know what's going to go on with this. This is also what I mentioned in my video today, and this is also something we should probably pay attention to because it's on the Euro, and we all swear by the Euro. It's out there, and it's on the Korean model, and it's on the CMC, the Canadian model, so we have some consistency going on with that. Let's go over to our ensembles now. Switch parameter. Oh my gosh, I wish my nose would stop running. I'm not going to blow it on camera, though. That's obnoxious. All right, so here we go. You can see our future tropical storm Sean out there in the Atlantic. The Euro has definitely backed off on its intensity significantly, which is kind of what it was showing last week. And then we have excellent ensemble agreement that whatever forms out there is going to go right up against the Gulf Coast. It's kind of cool, too, that this isn't going to be a major system, because when you think about it, where the ensembles want to track it, it's like it's scraping right across those drought-afflicted areas. So maybe we could see some pretty decent rainfall and help bring those conditions up. But then watch what happens not only out here, but also out here now. There's 2 areas that we should probably at least put one eye on. There it goes. You see it moving towards the Lesser Antilles. We have decent agreement out there, moving towards the Antilles, through the Antilles, and into the Caribbean. Some of them want to even develop it more aggressively into a major hurricane. And that's not the GFS. That's the Euro doing that. So that's interesting. Definitely interesting. We just might eat through the list, because if we have Sean and then we get Tammy somewhere over here, that leaves us with what, 1 or 2 more names? 1 more name? And then you can see that there are some ensembles starting to come out of the Caribbean for that other system down in that area. You can start to see them picking up on something. And if that's not enough to convince you, we'll go over to our tropical depression probabilities. And as you go towards the back end of the run, you can see there's another area of development possible just to the southeast of where Sean is possibly. And then if you look in the Caribbean too, we're starting to see probabilities creep their way up in the southern Caribbean and the western Caribbean. So the Euro is kind of picking up what these other models are putting down. The only thing I've noticed based on its track record is it doesn't like to get very, honed in when it's this far out. Typically when we're between 120 and 190-ish, at least on this panel, for example, that's when you'll see things like that. You see how we have much brighter colors, but then even this situation out here, look at how it very quickly disappears. It's like it's like the Euro is self-aware and knows not to go gung-ho on a system that far into the future. And again, I know that's bizarre talking about a computer doing that, but hey, we have AI out there now, so anything's possible. Elderberry is great. Also, just learned about goldenrod tea. Garlic also helps the immune system. Rochelle, I'm going to take you up on that. Elderberry. I used to live off Elderberry Court Road. Well, a road called Elderberry Court. Diva Jefferson, let's not ring the bells just yet. We can start slowly hyping, but, we'll get there. I'm having a weather theme party with, instead of streamers hanging, we have index cards with hurricane names and dates when they hit Louisiana. That's awesome, man. I love that. If you have social media, you got to tag me in some of those posts or share a quick little video on YouTube. I was right. The GFS shows no system. Lol, don't I get an award? Joking. GFS. Yeah, I agree, PM. I had a dark feeling that was going to happen. And I just find it really cool that it hung on for a little bit. Like, it was there back to back, and then, washed out this morning. I was very disappointed. After seeing what it did on 0Z, if you guys have been looking at the models, once I saw what the GFS did last night at 0Z, forming it up and just kind of leaving it there, you see that? And making it a really weird-looking circulation, I knew at that point GFS was going to do something stupid, and it was going to delete it altogether. So it goes without saying. We could see it make a return. We definitely can, and it depends on if our other models are going to trend it. And look, there's our other wave on the GFS. I didn't even notice that at 0Z, moving in through the Lesser Antilles. So they're going to get another batch of rain moving across there. So, but yeah. So we have Euro ensembles and probabilities starting to highlight our area. We have 2 models definitely pinging on it for sure, with decent consistency, because if you go back to 12Z yesterday, you can already see it trying to get going down there. There it goes right there. This is 12Z yesterday, and then you go to 0Z. You get another little area of a more consolidated low trying to get going down there, and then you have it at the 12 Zulu again. This time it actually showed it's making its way to the north. I don't think Icon shows anything just yet. Icon only goes out 180 hours, so I don't think we're going to catch anything on the Icon as of yet, if it does decide to show something. 12Z, 180 hours out. There goes our frontal system digging into the south. And yeah, Icon doesn't show anything. Icon has Sean holding strength out there in the Atlantic too. All right, let's go back to the chat. What about the storm forming off the northeast coast? Let's go and take a look at that. Are you talking about the one that is expected to form off? Like down the road right there? That guy? Fumchum, make the chili. The chili sounds good. I love chili, actually. Close to PR. Yeah, Edwin, that's another reason why I'm watching out there. The Euro does an excellent job of showing it, which is pretty neat. We'll go back to that here in a second. Fumchum, if you can confirm which low you're talking about, the storm. Go to the European model. We'll go out to the entire Atlantic AOY, and we'll turn on, let's try Vorticity. Let's see what Vorticity has for us. And you go through the loop, and you can see that there is an area that wants to move towards the Antilles. We actually have a bunch of little areas of vorticity out there, right in the backside or the southern periphery of that high height center. And then you can see it a little bit clearer on the 10-meter wind. Track it out through time. There it goes, trying to get its act together. It becomes more of an aggressive wave, and then you see the winds on the northern side really starting to amp up with it. So, I don't know. Once it gets in through here, we could see what happens. It could be another washout and a thunderstorm maker like the one that just went through. Or, you know, something else could happen. And I'm starting to see a little bit of curvature out here in the winds, too. So, maybe the Euro is going to start showing something once we can get it out of this, like, 220 something. Because when you think about it, looking at the time, this is the 17th going into the 18th, and if we're expecting development sometime late in the 18th into the 19th, we're only going to have a few panels on the Euro to identify it. So we might have to give it at least until Thursday, Friday this week before we get an accurate look at if the Euro is going to pick it up or not. That northeast coast storm there is right over my area. It's been hanging out there, too. It's miserable up there. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's miserable up there, but it's just been kicking it. Spinning up there. That's almost a bona fide polar vortex, not moving at all. Dipsy Doodah. Yep, Dipsy Doodah GFS, as always. Can we start ringing the alarm? Not yet, Miss Leah Janelle, not yet. I want to, but let's bide our time on this one. Let's just continue to emphasize it, and I'm going to keep eyes on it for sure. Which one? Because the last few models, I've shown the Canadian, the Korean model, and the Euro. I have not looked at GFS. GFS, we kind of took that off. I'm in Miami. Should I just monitor models just in case for the Western Caribbean system? Absolutely, Alex. Definitely. Let's just talk about it. Let's just like we did with this system in the Gulf, in the Bay of Campeche right now, let's just talk about it. We'll keep eyes on it. We'll keep trying to hammer home the attention to it. It's cool because look at Lydia. National Hurricane Center still wanted it to do something like this, a little bit more of a natural track, but no, that girl literally pulled the e-brake and went straight back. It's going straight towards the Mexico coast now. It went full retrograde, and then there goes Max making landfall, falling apart. What's going to be very interesting is to see what happens exactly, because a lot of the models are still thinking this is going to go like this, and Max is going to go like this. But if Lydia continues to move on its current course more eastward, east-northeast, they could combine over Mexico, and that could really change how much rainfall and winds we get across the Gulf, especially once the STJ here really picks it up. So we'll definitely have to wait and see. Because at least real time, what I'm seeing is Lydia just went right back. She's moving almost due east at about like 70, 80 degrees. It's not moving east-northeast or up towards favoring like the Baja Peninsula or anything like that. Need rain in Sarasota. I agree for sure. Let's see. I hate it when it does that. It suddenly fast forwards. I got to go back up. In Miami, there we go. I'm back with the chat. When will this El Nino start in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi? Because we are bone dry. It's starting up. With that, you can see where the jet is. That is trademark El Nino right there, where that subtropical jet is set up. That's the precursor to all the systems starting to brew up off the west coast and move east. After asking you the question last night about rapid intensification, I watched your update earlier, so the system is coming through Mexico right now. Will the jet stream just rip them up? Yep. Yes, sir, you got it. You're definitely picking it up, and I like that. Since they're tropical systems, they're going to get ripped apart, and it doesn't help that Mexico has a lot of mountainous features in it, so that's also going to help to accelerate how quickly they diminish. So good call, Thomas. Excellent. Heck yeah, man, you called it from the beginning. Yes, sir. Like I said at the start of the chat, I'm not going to be all, dust my shoulders off, but, I mean, we did it. It's out there. We have all this unfolding. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. Superchar, smile, go burr. Yes, Danny has Ethan's life. Looks like it's shooting east. It is, yeah. It's definitely moving east, Lydia. Shane Young, hey, use his Halloween video too. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Zenful retracted a message. Isn't it so great having Halloween and Friday the 13th marathons in October? Yes, Griffin, you're speaking my language. I actually have every intention of watching almost every Friday the 13th later this week and playing Friday the 13th the game with a few friends of mine in between live streams and Tropics and all that and other business. Don't judge me. I do have a little bit of a gamer left in me. Whenever my friends want to jump on like Call of Duty or Halo or something like that, I indulge. You'll never catch me playing by myself unless it's a Resident Evil game. I love Resident Evil. The remakes have actually been very good. I'm proud of them. But yes, I'm super stoked that we have Friday the 13th and Halloween in the same month. This is an extraordinary month for sure. Hello all. Danny has dug deep in the Tropics just like you, Nazar. Maybe y'all should collaborate. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. She used to pop in here. I don't know what changed. I don't see her in here at all anymore, unfortunately. I'm going to say this. I eat dinner every time I watch a video. That's cool. I finally have a channel to where what I used to do back in the day, I'd always have to have food in front of me, and then I can pop on a video on YouTube and eat food. Otherwise, I can't really eat food. I mean, I can't really eat it all until I have something good to watch. Hey, Jesus, hello there. Hello. I'm going to say, okay, I saw that. What do you call two friends doing algebra? Oh, God. Here we go. PEXTT, what up, Nazario? Good to see you. Oh, yeah? Yesterday was the anniversary of Hurricane Matthew here in South Carolina. Wow. El Korean. Wishful thinking at this point, there will not be any tropical cyclone. Well, let's see. It's definitely too early to count it out. I mean, we definitely were saying we weren't going to see anything in the Gulf, and there it is. And I know it transitioned from looking tropical to post-tropical, or I should say non-tropical. That makes sense with the dynamics in play. And again, I'm waiting for the people to swarm my comments. If my videos weren't getting such low traffic right now, I'm almost positive that they'd be in there calling me a fearmonger, calling me a hyper, and I need people to understand, like, we're 30 minutes into this chat, guys, and if there's something I really need to emphasize, and I'm going to do what I did before, I'll even take the mic out. I'll talk to you like this. If there's something I need everybody watching this, both you guys live right now and whoever tunes into this video after and wants to leave a comment, I'm not fixating on the fact that a storm is forming. I'm not fixating on that. We're so far out, it's too early to say yes or no. There's no way to be that accurate. Somebody left a comment on my most recent video saying there's a lot of ifs that you're saying in this video, and it's like, yeah, because it's all speculation. We're forecasting almost a week or two out. There's no way I can sit there and tell you yes or no. I'm not God. If I was God, I wouldn't be doing this, that's for sure. But the big thing I'm looking at is what's happening over the United States. I'm looking at where our subtropical jet is. I'm looking at where our polar front jet is. I'm looking at where our cold frontal boundaries are, where our high pressures are, where most of our shear is. And that was the main consensus I wanted to really focus on in my video today. I didn't even start hurricane or, oh my God, look out. No, I started it with, let's look at the big picture. And this is why I think we have a better chance at seeing something form out there in the Caribbean. Just like with this bad boy in the Gulf of Mexico, because of the shifting in dynamics, that's why I think that there is a better chance now that we could see that 40+% chance that's highlighted by CPC become a little more realistic. Let me put my mic back now. I'm done on my high horse. So that's the key takeaway, guys. I don't want you to come out of this live stream or any of my videos thinking that David's forecasting a hurricane for Florida. What I'm saying is this far out, I'm looking at the big picture. Because this far out, all we have is what's happening right now leading up to that. And the evidence would suggest that the chances of seeing formation went from 0 to about 10-20% because we're going to have a bit better of an environment down there. Less cold air, less, less dry air, less jet energy down there for that matter. I mean, it's a night and day difference. I showed you guys yesterday, and it's still Prague in the same thing. You go up to the upper dynamics and you look at 250 winds, and you can see right about that time we're supposed to see something form up. That trough does not deepen down as much as it was supposed to. It becomes a little bit more zonal, and it evacuates out just in time for something to get going. And what's wild is you have this trough back behind it that's definitely going to deepen if we have that much jet energy working its way in. So that is going to slow the pattern down. That's why I want to focus on this. It's not what's happening in the tropics, it's what's happening around the tropics that could help the tropics out. Because climatologically speaking, we've had some of our worst storms in October. And earlier on last week, middle of last week, towards the weekend, if you had asked me if I could see development down there, if I agree with the GFS or something like that, I would have said, don't trust it, don't do it. There's no way. That would have been a hard no. Now I've retracted that hard no because if that trough is going to get up out of there and we're not going to see that cold air sink down and wipe out all of our moisture down there, we're already seeing something get going out there in the Gulf because of a front and because most of our energy is to the north, right here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Right here. So if we have the same situation, if we have all of our shear up over the United States like this because our trough does not dig in as far south as it was initially anticipating like this to wipe everything out, if we get something down in this area, especially with as conducive as it still is, and it tries to move north, I believe that. I could see that happening. I can definitely see that happening. It makes sense dynamically. It makes sense environmentally speaking, not simply because the models are calling for it. That's one thing I really hope that you guys understand tuning into my live streams, and I hope viewers out there begin to understand. I'm not hyping up a small little thing like this. When I see small little things like this, I put on my investigative pants and I step back and I look at it like this. Okay, why are we suddenly seeing this change? Why was it not there then, but it's there now? I need to look at everything first before I can tell you guys whether or not I buy into it. And based on the differences, I buy into it a little bit. It makes sense. Did you see the cold anomaly of SST off the Peruvian coast? I did, yeah. It's getting all topsy-turvy out there. Atlantic Tropics is quiet. Pacific is busy tracking Beloved. The whole Pacific is busy, but, I mean, we've been pretty active out there. We're getting to the very tail end of the list, and with the amount of things that are highlighted right now, we're going to definitely check another name off here very soon. So I think it was definitely more active than we came into this thinking. A lot of folks had that same mentality. It's going to be a bust. El Nino. Nothing's forming. Nothing at all. And now in terms of landfalls, yes. Not really a whole lot. It's funny because I've been digging my heels in because the one storm that did hit all 2023 was Idalia, and that was the one that formed in this same general area. So, you know, that's another thing I like to set foot on. What will the wind look like in the Panhandle? It could definitely get up to tropical storm level gusts. That's another thing too. Like, please don't let people fool you. If they're talking because it's going to get sheared apart and, you know, it's not going to develop into a named storm, don't let that fool you into a false sense of security. Like, we're not going to see anything from this. This is our 10-meter wind on the Euro today, and look at how it comes through. We have pretty sporty winds with this. You have some indications of anywhere between 30-35 knots, which is tropical storm level gusts. As a matter of fact, we can kind of look at the high-res stuff now because we have that for this system. I forgot about that. Let's take a look. Whoops, I went too far. Let's go to Hurricane, H-Wharf Parent. Let's go to Invest. That's not it. Invest 93L on the HAFS A. And let's go through time. Let's see what the HAFS model wants to do with it. So the HAFS model does something weird from that main area of it, and it keeps a little low spinning down there in the Gulf. Doesn't do a whole lot with it. That's very interesting. Let's see what the HAFS B looks like. Invest 93L. That's not... What in the hell is that? HAFS B, what are you doing? What the... Well, guys, it looks like Invest 93L has officially migrated to the Central Plains. We have to start issuing tropical storm warnings for Nebraska, Kansas, and moving further east into the the Midwestern states of the Ohio Valley. We have a 989 tropical system out there, guys. This is it. I don't know what the HAFS B is doing, and they say this is the best stuff. This lost a couple points with me for sure. I don't know what the hell that is. Because you're looking at it, Invest 93L, 989 low over Nebraska. Yep, that's our Invest area, guys. We busted. Try lemon tea. That's a great idea, Zenful. I definitely want to do that. Florida could potentially have Sean or Tammy in the Panhandle and Vince or Whitney later in the month in the Southeast. This looks active to me. Yeah, you know, I would agree. I mean, because of the fact that we still have Euro highlighting areas of development, we have ensembles popping off out there when earlier they said nothing out there, which is why I ended the week last week on it looks like things could quiet down, and then all of a sudden they picked back up. Maybe I need to say that more often. Nothing's happening, and then hurricane. GFS left us on a cliffhanger, very much so. Merry Christmas. 2 claws in. Could the Bermuda High influence the track of the Gulf storm? Not necessarily, James. Good question. But right now, with what's happening out in the Atlantic, we have too many frontal systems and too much jet energy to really help out with our high pressure out there. It keeps on trying to get going, but you can see with low after low after low, you see a little bit of it, and that's not even really your semi-permanent high. This is just cold air coming off the mid-Atlantic, the East Coast. So every high that you see positioning itself out there, it's all going to be more so a modified air mass from off the continental U.S., and you can see that we have nothing but a textbook Azores high, a southerly Azores high, or I should say like a split Azores high out there over the northern Atlantic, closer to Europe, and out like this. So it's going to be a lot more troughing and frontal systems and high pressure that influence any storm that comes out across the Atlantic. That's typically why we see this time of year calm down out there. So I think it's very interesting. If you look, there's what the CMC has for that other entity. Come on, pen, click, thank you. There it is right there, tracking off towards the Lesser Antilles. So the Canadian model sees what the European model is showing, and it keeps an area of organized thunderstorms moving towards the Lesser Antilles, and it actually spits out another one. What the? You got to calm down, Africa, for real. I'm going to need you to take a chill pill. Let's go out there real quick. I haven't looked at my cyclonic weather in a little bit. While this is loading up, I'll go back to the chat. But anyway, Sharon, to answer your question, it's definitely going to be more of a wind event. We'll definitely see more wind event. It's definitely going to be more of a rain event, not wind event. Wind is going to be more so associated with the storms within the center itself, or not necessarily in the center, but in that broad area of low pressure. It's not going to be a whole lot of tropical influence. It's going to be a conglomeration of mixing winds with the subtropical jet coming down in that rainfall. Also, pressure gradient between the front coming in that it's going to merge with and the tropical moisture surging to the north, colliding all together. And that's why it's not going to be a crazy event, but we'll have 30, 40 mile an hour winds for sure in some areas, and we're going to see a lot of rain with it too. That's for certain. All right, let's go to Africa real quick. Let's go over here too. Let's go to infrared, tropical Atlantic. There's this guy. That's the one. I'm surprised that National Hurricane Center doesn't have anything for that either. This is what could possibly turn into Sean. This is what could be back behind him that moves this way. That's the one that the Euro really tries, at least a few of its members really want it to go major hurricane. I think the Euro might for the first time be out to lunch in that prediction, but it's the Euro, so people naturally have a bit more trust in it. But anyways, let's look at Africa. What's coming off of Africa still that has the Canadian model thinking we're going to see something else plop its way into the Atlantic? Where is my Africa satellite? Here we go. Yeah, I mean, you know what? The monsoon out there hasn't fully calmed down just yet. There's still a lot of good thunderstorms out there, and they're all lower latitude as well. That's the interesting thing, because if you guys remember, a lot of our stuff was tracking off in this general area to the west, going right through the Cabo Verde Islands, which is why I think we had a lot more storms going out to sea. Now a lot of our thunderstorm activity has migrated just a little further to the south, and it's expected to continue to work its way off to the west. So we could get 1 or 2 more waves out of Africa before it shuts down and we see their monsoon season clear out altogether. All right, let's go back to the chat real quick. All right, I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sorry, guys. If I skip over your message, I apologize. I'm playing Trans-Siberian Orchestra for my winter concert. That's pretty dope. Brooke Ward, I'm near Sarasota. I can deal with a low-end storm. I just don't want to go through another Ian. No, Brooke. No, definitely. Don't let anyone think or try to convince you we're seeing a Cat 4 or anything like that right now. Absolutely not. Is it possible? And this is me, and please forgive me if I'm hyping now. Is it possible that we could get a storm? And I'm not talking about the ones that the models are showing. I'm saying in general, like historically speaking. Could we get another Ian? 175%. We've seen it many times before. We still have the record for deepest, lowest, most intense hurricane a la Wilma from the middle of October in 2005. So you can't rule out every possibility. October, I think, is a lot more anomalous than your traditional August, September. Because August, September, you have the long track storms coming off of Africa. You see them coming 1,000 miles away. October and November is a little more anomalous through history, because you have them forming close to home, and they can pop off close to home if they really wanted to. We won't getting any rain from tropical storms in Mexico headed to Texas, but all of it. I used to play Friday the 13th with friends, not so much anymore. Well, shoot, Brooke, you know what? If you want, I'll run it up. I'll definitely be in there playing Friday the 13th on Friday, that's for sure, especially since I don't have work the next day. A few of my buddies are definitely going to hop in there. There's still a good amount of people who play, and I know that they have the, what are they called? The dedicated servers, I think, so it's cross-platform compatible. So if you want, drop your profile in the chat, or I could leave you mine, and, we'll run it up. That'd be fun. Friday the 13th, filmed near where I used to live, Zaca Lake, California. Heck yeah, Redbird. See, I love that stuff. We're speaking my language once again. We're talking weather and scary stuff. Perfect. That's a lot of rain for Mexico. It is. And they've already been getting it hard, too, which is bad. And it's not good for them down there. And, of course, no one's really paying close attention to them except Mr. Weatherman. He's been mentioning it alongside me, which is very good. We're raising some awareness on that because they're going to get inundated really bad. Algebros. Ethan's life with the dad jokes again. Hey, buddy from Middlesex, Virginia. Very good. Can this come to Virginia? Which one, David? Which one? Are we talking the one down over the Gulf now, headed up in that general direction? Because, it could. It looks like it's more or less going to be forced off the coastline, and what you guys are going to have to worry about is your Hatteras Low forming up as that mature system deepens over the Great Plains and moves to the east. That's what I would be more concerned for you guys up in that neck of the woods, is the polar air that's going to be working its way through with that system. It looks like there's a little bit of cold air damming that goes along the coast as well, so that could be some mixed precip out there as well. Let's get a closer look. Oh yeah, look at that. There is some cold air damming. So what happens is you have cold air moving in across this way with residual cold air coming across the east coast from our previous high pressure, and it's very hard to see. Let me see if I can draw it in there for you guys, and I'll use a bigger pen, but this is pretty neat. You can see that there's kinking in the isotherms like so. So that would be cold air dammed up against the mountains. And what's a little interesting about that and why that could get dangerous, I'm not saying it's going to happen in this case, but when you have warm fronts coming in from the south like this and you have cold air nestled in against the mountainous terrain, as that warm air goes over top of it, you can get freezing rain out of that. And freezing rain is very lethal. Freezing rain is as dangerous as it comes. I remember in the military, our warnings for freezing rain were immediate severe, immediate what we called SWAP criteria, severe weather action, severe weather action plan implementation, all that fun Air Force weather jargon. But freezing rain, that's a trademark look for it right there. So we'll definitely have to monitor for that. I don't think we're going to see it this time because we're not that cold. And by now, we'll probably have modified out a lot of the cold air along the side of the mountains there, or the lee of the mountains. But thanks for bringing that up, David. Definitely interesting to talk about. We're going to see more signatures like that, I feel, as we go down the road. Let's see. Can this come to Virginia? I just read that. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Hurricane Michael. I'm still sad that I missed that. I know it was probably a very dangerous situation, and I'm not saying, hype up. I wish I could have seen it, but Michael, in October, during Halloween time, just as the Halloween franchise was coming back to the big screen, how more iconic could you get? Could Hurricane Lydia knock some of the shear away from the Gulf storm to stay intact? Now that is a very good point, James. An excellent question. Hurricane subtropical jet. The polar front and the Arctic jet, not so much, because the polar and the Arctic jet are more created through temperature discontinuity. It's more of a temperature gradient. That's why you have cold air to the north of it and warm air to the south of it. But the subtropical jet is more or less just angular momentum. It's the basic physics around the equatorial regions of the Earth. And that's why we can see very vigorous outflow from tropical systems influence it, whether it be amplifying systems around it, creating localized areas of higher or lower height. So excellent question. It very well could. It definitely can do some things with our jet as well. So excellent question, James. I like that. Jonathan, I live in Panama City. Hurricane Michael was such a powerful hurricane. It was definitely surreal going outside and seeing the eye wall pass. It was a Cat 5. Did anyone see the cold weather in Florida for next week? Yep, that big system's coming through, and it's going to definitely give us another round of good weather. I got to make sure my vitamin C is up so that way my nose doesn't get even more clogged because I really want to enjoy it, especially if I dress up. By the way, I have something in the works for Friday the 13th for you guys. I'm going to, break out my Jason Goes to Hell outfit or maybe my Part 4 Jason outfit, and we're going to do something fun, another little short for Friday the 13th this weekend. It's going to be a little bit more painstaking to do, and I work on Friday the 13th, so I might have to start shooting it the day before, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be another little short thing, but, I'm excited. I know that you guys like that, so I'm definitely mocking up and storyboarding another Friday the 13th / spooky thing for the channel. Sanibel was so nice to work on today, mid-60s in the morning, low 70s for the afternoon. Yeah, it was glorious today. I mean, I was exhausted to all hell, but I still went to the gym, and it was nice cruising out there. No fog on the windshield, no humidity. I can't wait for fall temps in Florida. Finally, plaid and boot weather for a day at a time. Yeah. That's for sure. Woo! Gabriel, welcome in. Good to see you. 989 for the Midwest. Yep, there it is. That's our Invest 93L according to the HAFS B model, guys. It's moving through the upper Midwest, going towards the lower Great Lakes right now. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. There goes my stuff shooting through again. That's an EF7 tornado, guys. Cat 6 lady was right. LMAO, can you look at El Nino years previous for October? Yeah, absolutely. 2020 was an El Nino year, I think. Was it? Can someone fact check me on that? Let's go El Nino years. Let's see. Recent Central Pacific El Ninos, 2009 to 10, 2004 and 2005. 2005 was an El Nino year, and that's when we set the record. So, let's go to hurricane season 2005 tracks. And I think there's a way we could narrow it down as well. Let's see. Is there a way we can narrow it down? Shucks, it doesn't look like it. Let's see. Historical hurricane tracks. Let's see if there's a way we could narrow it down. NHC archive, NOAA historical hurricane tracks. If I can get to a... Dang, look at that. Where did that come from? Florida getting bullseyed right there. View over 100 in the region. Let's see. That's not what I want. I want national hurricane tracking data in your region. No. I want this. I don't want to find in my... You know what? Fine. I'll put my region in for the heck of it. Sure. Damn. Okay. Let's see. 102 matching storms. Let's go to... Shucks. I don't even know. There's Ian right there. There's his track. Ian went way further to the east than we thought. And then there's Nicole from last year coming right across where I live. Let's see if we can find any October storms in here. There's Charlie, Francis, and Jean. Got the anniversary for Charlie coming up. There's an October storm. Leslie came and hit Florida in October. There it is, early October to middle October. There's a November storm that we got hit by. Same general area to the south. November, Hurricane Gordon in 94. Another November storm, Hurricane Keith, or Tropical Storm Keith, excuse me. Same general track. Look at that, Southwest Florida, October, unnamed 1987. Same general. There's your Tampa landfall. It was a tropical depression, though. Another unnamed tropical depression in 1984 hitting South Florida. Let's see. November 1980. Oh, look at that. Hurricane David scraped the coastline in 1979. I was wondering why there hasn't been a Hurricane David on the list. What a shame. I guess it was retired. Unnamed storm 1976. Let's see. There's Gladys, 1968. Gladys came in right around where they were predicting Idalia would come in, just to the south of Cedar Key, going through Ocala, up towards Palm Coast. Let's see. October 16th, 1965. Same general area. I'm starting to see a trend here, guys. West Coast for sure. Unnamed South Florida, moving up towards the Space Coast. Hazel, Southwest Coast again. Let's see. Hurricane Hal moving in towards the back end of September and October. Southwest Florida. King, 1950. Southern Florida. Definitely seeing a trend here. Halloween, 1946. Tropical storm, Southeast Florida. That's interesting. Unnamed 1946 hurricane. Southwest Florida going through Tampa. So you're getting the trend here. We're definitely seeing a little bit more of a West Coast bias with everything that pops up out there. Forgive me for going into that for as long as I did. I don't know if we, I don't know if that's what you guys wanted me to do, but greetings from AMI. Very good. Kurt, thanks for joining in. There could be a tropical, subtropical storm off the northeast coast, according to GFS. Fum Chum, I don't know about that. And remember what you're saying. You're saying GFS, so be careful with that. Let's go to the GFS and take a look. Because I bet you 10 to 1, it's probably not subtropical. It's probably more or less that Hatteras low right there. Yep. So that, if you're talking about that right there, what that is how Ophelia should have formed if Lee didn't come in and mess up the pattern. So this is a very good source region for cyclogenesis of more frontal systems moving off in this direction. And what the GFS is showing is exactly that. If I had to go through and do a very quick analysis, what this storm would look like is we have our occluded front right there. Get out of the way, ink. There we go. So we have our occluded front attached to the low right there. There's our triple point right in through there. So we have our warm front out ahead of it right in through there. And then we have a cold front draped back to the south and west of it like so. And what happens typically is where that triple point is, that's where most of your jet energy and most of your shortwave troughs are in the upper levels like so, running across it. So as that continues to move off to the east, what ends up happening in that general area, back when I was in the military, we have our low still out here over the Great Lakes, hung up there, getting stuck, probably going to start to wash out very soon. We have our occlusion stretching out to that low, and now we have a new triple point low deepening down as that front continues off to the south, and then there's our new warm sector moving further and further up the coastline, and that's going to be our new main system. So I definitely wouldn't say that's subtropical. That's definitely a lot more of just traditional fall development that we see along the East Coast. Good point out, though, definitely. Love the cool weather in Tampa. Oh, it's been glorious. ITCZ does migrate further south later in the season. Yep, and we're seeing that for sure. So it's interesting that there's a couple of areas that the models want to keep our eyes on. Hey, yo, let's run it. We're running it. Oh, yeah, for Friday the 13th, absolutely, yeah. I haven't seen anyone else drop it in the chat, but Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th, guys, for sure. Zeta was also a powerful storm to hit in November, and it was a Cat 2, Cat 3 storm. Anything can happen when it's a hurricane season, I agree. Do not like cooler weather in Central Florida. Really, Kurt, I think it's pretty nice. It's a nice change. I could see some snow on the Gulf Coast this year. You never know. If we have enough cold air coming down like it is right now, that's for sure. Mr. Weatherman was talking about mudslides in Mexico. Yep, definitely, and I fully agree with that. That's exactly what's been happening out in Central America and Mexico for a little bit now with the CAG forming up. There's been honestly a lot of deaths down there. I wouldn't be surprised if the death toll has risen even more from when I last checked on it, which is sad to say. The water in AMI seems cooler than normal. Come to South Florida, we were 85 degrees today. Oh, wow, yeah. I have to do the party here at my house tomorrow, so where do I send the videos and pictures to? About 50-plus people will be here. Shucks, if you have Instagram, weathercenter_Nazario. That's my Instagram. If you want to send them there, that sounds perfect. We need a good nor'easter. Yeah, it looks like there's going to definitely be one in the making very soon. Click on mode and choose El Nino. Let me see, where is it? Let me go back to that. Click on mode or more. There we go. Oh, so this is El Nino. El Nino is on. Let's go to October now. There we go. So there's October. You can see how much of a bias we have during El Nino seasons all along the West Coast. I mean, some of them coming in down here, but we can rule out an East Coast impact. Definitely can rule out an East Coast impact. Let's zoom out and see where we see most of our formation. And there you go. The writing is on. What the heck did I just do? I didn't click on anything. There we go. Let's zoom out. Zoom out without clicking on anything this time. Let me grab over here where there's no tracks. The writing is on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. The writing is on the wall. This is your October for the last... this is everything, honestly. This is all the way back into the 1800s even. And these are all the systems that have formed out in the Caribbean, and there's actually some that wanted to form up real close to Florida right there. So we're looking at climatology here. Let me sort the years. Let's do 2005. Here we go. We'll go to 2005. There's no way that there were no storms found. That was stupid. All right, never mind. But anyways, you saw that a second ago. Writing's on the wall, October, for sure. Elite Chief Stark, you almost missed the whole... Actually, you did miss the whole live stream. It's 9 o'clock already, guys. You sure about that analysis, Nazar? There he is! Shane Castle, welcome in. Good to see you, sir. Not entirely sure. I've been away from the desk for a while, but just based off of what I've been seeing, it looks like triple point cyclogenesis and the good old cold air damming we used to talk about in class a lot happening along the East Coast. I hope you call this Caribbean system like you did the one in the Gulf so we can have a weather center, a weather Nazario coronation. That's funny. Here for the hype, baby. Tonight we're not really hyping too much, but we will soon. I love your weather. Thank you, Gregory. I appreciate that. Remember that solar eclipse on October 14th in the Northern Hemisphere? Yep, we're definitely going to be talking about that. Shane Castle, look good. Thank you, sir. I missed that. I honestly missed that, guys. So, for those of you, obviously no one in here knows. I don't know why I'm saying for those of you who don't know. We used to have a whole lot of collaboration that went into our synoptic charts during my time in the military. And it was always so satisfying to draw up an analysis, especially if you were going back and forth and fighting it out with different squadrons on who thought that their interpretation was most accurate. And then to have Mr. Castle, Shane Castle, in your corner saying, we got this, we know what we're talking about. It was so satisfying in a good way. And I'll admit, I'd be lying to you guys if I said I didn't miss that. I definitely miss my analysis, and I think that's why every now and again I'll be sitting out here like, yeah, let me do a quick little analysis on the charts here and see how it lines up with the jet and whatnot. Will the Gulf system close schools in Florida? No. This one coming up? Absolutely not. No, a lot of people won't even really recognize it because it's not really going to develop. So from the official political standpoint of it, or the politics that go into school closures and the thresholds that require closures and emergency services like that, or I should say procedures to come into enactment, that's not going to happen. Is new model out? Let's see. I think 18Z should be out now. The new, whatchamacallit, ensembles. I know we like to wrap our streams up with that. Let's see. Cyclone locations. I don't know what happened with the GFS at 12Z, because if you guys look, 12Z never loaded in. 12Z just kind of hard broke on weathermodels.com. I don't know why it did that, but 18Z is in, so let's see what we got. 72 hours out. There goes very good consistency with our Gulf system moving in towards the Panhandle. And then let's see what happens as we go down the road. There we go. Yeah, whoa. Wow, guys. Yep, there it is. So there's our two features. So we're not out of the woods yet, and this is GFS. There's one little projected path over Florida, and then there's the other. The GFS actually looks a lot more like what the Euro was showing at 12Z too. Look at that. There's one in here with sub 950 millibar center of circulation. I mean, it's only one, obviously, so it's not that crazy, but I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna throw my hands up and say, it's out there. We have some operational models showing something over here. So we have our GFS ensemble still on board here. We have the Euro starting to pick up some steam a little bit. We have the Euro and the GFS on board with this, and that could get dangerous. This could get very dangerous. And I almost want to reach out to Brian Shields and have him start putting that out on his channel, because I know he talks a lot about the Caribbean, and he would have better interpolation than I would looking at these ensembles. But with the Euro trending on the op run, pushing something that way, GFS and Euro ensembles pushing something that way, and increasing the intensity, that could get very dangerous. That could definitely get dangerous. And I'm watching for my family out there in Puerto Rico too. But there you have it. That's a good way to close out the video, or the stream, I should say, not the video. So we still have decent agreement that something can come out of the Western Caribbean, and we have even more agreement now at 18Z that something could be headed towards our Lesser Antilles. So multiple areas to watch. We're not out of the woods yet. That's what I should title this. We're not out of the woods yet. Will you post the 11 p.m.? I know you want to rest. Not tonight, Doff Boy. I'm sorry about that. I want to, but not tonight. I'm already feeling, you can probably hear it in my voice, I'm tired as living daylights right now. What caused Hurricane Wilma to have a really deep pressure, and do you think could happen again? It could most definitely happen again. I'm honestly very curious to see when her record is going to be broken, and what scares me about that is when we break that record, what's going to happen? Because if we go below 882 millibars, we're pushing. I know that there were some videos of people hyping up Hurricane Lee. I don't like hyping this up to cause fear. And they were talking about 200-mile-an-hour winds in the center, 882 millibars and below that. That's wild. That's unprecedented. If I could come up with every hype-ish adjective in the book, I'd put that on that. So it's definitely possible, and honestly, all that really is it's a very, very good combination of the ocean heat content, the surface temps out there, very good upper-level anti-cyclone, helping with exhaust for the storm, no shear whatsoever coming across, and then obviously all that good Central and South American moisture in the area. That's a recipe for a disaster. That's the best favorable environment you could absolutely ask for a hurricane. So is it possible? Absolutely. Are we going to break that record this year? God, I hope not. I don't think so, but we can't say no. I would love to come to Florida and go storm chasing. Gregory, that'd be amazing, especially since it looks like we're going to have a higher tornado risk as we go into December, January, and February. So we'll see. I watched the replay, but did leave a like before the stream started. Elite Chief Stark, thank you very much for that. And Ethan, I did not miss it. I see your comment. I also see the chat revenue. I'm definitely going to get myself some nice chili and keep it up. I really appreciate that. Chili sounds fire right about now. Thank you so much, dude. Let's see. Whoa, 18Z is out now. PEXTT. Yep, 18Z is not a hot model run, but it's still very interesting to see that we have two areas now. The further east you go, that's a little bit more prevalent on the Euro. But now I'm very curious to see as we go towards Friday. Maybe that's what's going to happen, guys. Hear me out, okay? Maybe it wasn't Friday the 13th we're going to see something. Maybe Friday the 13th is when the bad luck's going to set in, and we're going to have two things out there that we have to pay attention to. And then as we get towards Halloween, then we're going to have to batten down the hatches. And I know that was as hype as you could possibly get. That was hype right there. A definitive little moment of hype. Y'all, looks like Florida needs to watch out for this soon-to-be Vince or Whitney. I agree, Pierre. I would definitely say we should be watching. We should definitely be watching. I hope you and Mike's weather page collab in the future, like a live stream type of event. Doff Boy, if something does end up happening, I would love... And I would actually go as far as to say I would reach out to him and see if he's going to chase the storm and see if there's any way we could meet up. Because I know he's very good about meeting fans, viewers, etc. when he's out there on the roads storm chasing. So it's a possibility. It'll definitely be a possibility. Thanks for the info, as always. Sharon Jackson signing out. Sharon, we'll see you next time, Wednesday night. I'm watching Lesser Antilles in the Caribbean for a major hurricane impact. That red line, South of Hispaniola in Jamaica is the one I'm watching. Yes, this one right here. And at the very end of the run, there is two little pips of that 950 and lower pressure. Very little agreement for a major system, but the fact that it's coming in and we're starting to see trends on both now, Euro and GFS, it's worth watching. It's definitely worth watching. It's not just the GFS doing its stupid, whatever you want to call it. So we have two areas of investigation that we want to watch now. We have this bad boy, and then we have this. So there's one, and then there's two. Like this, and then like this. So we're not done yet. Not done yet. What do you think about Hurricane Nicole as it did reach Cat 1 stat? That was a very interesting situation with Nicole. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday, if anything. Gerard, you're easily my favorite. Thank you, Gerard. I really genuinely appreciate that. Get some rest. Earth signing out. Yes, ma'am. I definitely respect it. I'm going to be right behind you because we're over the hour mark. But all right, guys. We're going to start calling it. I'm going to go shower and get ready for bed right after this because you know what? It looks like I might need the rest because we have some things to cover as we go through time. My brain's going to be working overtime. I hope Brian digs deep on this system in the Western Caribbean. Oh, I know he will. Definitely, it's going to be on his radar. he's got a very good set of eyes on him. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have, and I know for certain that we're going to start talking about this. I just hope it's sooner rather than later, because if we start seeing more consensus popping up out there with as much as we already have, that definitely concerns me, especially with what already happened with Philippe raining out over the Lesser Antilles and the British Virgin Islands. So, yeah, October could definitely get sporty, could definitely get spicy. Thanks, much appreciated. We'll see. Rest well all. Yes, Linda, likewise. Thank you so much, David. Have a good night, man. Good night, y'all. Pierre, have a great evening. We're going to go ahead and start cutting the live stream, guys. It's over an hour. I always go over an hour. I should just start scheduling it for like an hour 15 at this point. But we will go ahead and see you tomorrow. I predicted 150-mile-an-hour hurricane south of Hispaniola and Jamaica. Hopefully that's not what happens. Because if that happens, it's coming towards us next. That's for certain. Anything that comes into the Caribbean is going to be a Florida Gulf Coast problem, no matter what. And that's just with climatology and the way the pattern is set up over North America, regardless. Anything that makes its way into this box, and if you guys remember, I told you that back in middle September, like anything that gets into the Caribbean with all these fronts coming in is going to be a Florida problem. Diva Jefferson signing out. Brooke Ward, good night. Let me know on a future live stream if you want to run that Friday the 13th. Anybody who has any game systems can definitely join in. We're going to do a fun little event, non-weather related. Of course, if you're in there and you want to talk weather, you can. I'm not going to say not to, or I'm not going to say no. Friday the 13th and weather is like putting two of my passions together. Shane Castle, peace, sir. I genuinely can't thank you enough for joining the stream. I'm not sure if you're still there, but shucks, having my mentor in there who taught me all this from day one, 2014. Ironically, I think in October, as a matter of fact, the irony in that, it means so much. I love your channel, Jonathan. Thank you very much for that. I love having you guys in here. Ethan's Life, signing out. Remember Matthew? Yes. Thanks, Nazario. Good job. Good night, everyone. J-Ski, signing out. All right, guys. As everyone starts to sign out, got to go through the formalities. We will see you tomorrow for another 6 p.m. iteration of Weather Center Nazario. We'll see what trends overnight, and we'll talk and give you all the full details for our next segment at around 6 p.m. tomorrow. Full-fledged video. We will not be doing a Tropics talk tomorrow unless something definitely pops off and we see more of this that's pressing and I want to talk to you guys about it. But more than likely, so I can rest up and make sure I'm full-fledged, ready to rock and roll for Wednesday and Friday, especially as we get towards Friday the 13th. I'm definitely going to take advantage of any lull I get in weather activity. So get some rest and feel better. Zenful, thank you very much. Yep, we'll check in from time to time. Mr. Castle, I really appreciate that. It means so much that you would. Thank you very much for watching. I can't say that enough. It sounds cliche, but I miss you guys over there at the OWS. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I do. And I think that's why I go so hard and I'm so passionate with this stuff, because it's like my last little, like hook to it. You know what I mean? Good night. Stay safe. Blessed, everyone. Miss Leah, have a great one. Thank you, Nazario. This is Carmen signing out. All right, guys. We'll see you Wednesday for our next 8 p.m. iteration of Tropics Talk. Full segment tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for those of you who donated, i.e. Ethan. I genuinely appreciate it, even though I know you've left the chat. That's that, guys. October's looking interesting. October's going to be a very anomalous month. We're going to definitely have lots of conversations going forward. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.